Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the RomaPress podcast. We hope you are doing well. As always, thank you to all of our wonderful patrons who make this possible. If you would like to join the patron group chat, get early access to episodes, patreon.com/RomaPress. And as you all know, but I have to say it, I'm obligated to do so, the video version of the podcast, youtube.com/@ISRoma Press. And again, thank you all for all of your wonderful support since we have rolled this thing out. Comments aside, at both of our appearances, which have all been in good fun. So, thus far, Andy, unless you just haven't told me, I don't think anybody has. So far, nobody has gotten a death threat. So I suppose in the world of the age of the internet, that in and of itself is, I won't say positive, but at least a net neutral. So
I think I saw the closest thing I saw somebody take issue with the fact that apparently you were being excessive with explicit content. The other day I was looking through one of our episodes on YouTube, and there was a comment that said specifically to John Solano that you are being excessive with explicit content, and that Roma is an international brand, and that reflects poorly on Roma and our show. So you have to keep it
did
PG
somebody
friendly. Friend.
did my nonna get a YouTube account from the
Yeah,
from the
your
next
uncle,
life?
your 65-year-old uncle
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah.
flies you.
Yeah, Uncle Valentino.
Yeah.
Uh, that someone I can't tell if you're joking or not. They
No,
did.
no, no.
Somebody actually
I'm
said that.
being 100% serious. Like one of
Oh,
the episodes that we recorded maybe 2 weeks back, you are being excessive in your explicit content. So please keep it down, buddy. Okay.
okay. Now, what did I say that was explicit?
I don't
Not
know,
that I
but
care. I just suppose I am curious
your
because.
comments reflected poorly on the brand of Roma.
Well, as we all know, at least in the YouTube sphere, when it comes to Roma, there is a very high expectation of by seeing more so the Italian ones. There's a very high bar for those who speak, write, report on Roma. Um, who do we start out with? I mean, my good friend Aspettando il Tattico. He is the gold standard, obviously. Um, but when we go from there, I don't want to say our friend's name and give to him because it seems like I've stayed off of Twitter, but it looks like he and our friend Cesare have reignited the feud. So I don't want to give it any attention to him, but I suppose I will have to tone it down. I cannot recall a single thing that I said that was explicit. I mean, of all things that were explicit, I would have to. For most of the things I said, you did the first reference to Joseph
Joseph
Mengele.
Mengele, yes,
So
I did. But it's
it
that's informative. It's for
mm,
the education purposes. So
educational
that's
purposes only. Well,
exactly. So
speaking of explicit content, then let's get into gambling. More specifically, nothing related to like a sponsor on here or the podcast or the website. But more specifically, when it comes to Italian football, there are certain things it is synonymous with, as English football is synonymous with things, German football, Spanish football, so on and so forth. When it comes to betting in particular, and for some reason, betting on your own team, it's not even the betting on opponents. It's maybe this just goes on more in other countries, and I'm naive to it, but there is something especially just stupid about a footballer, professional footballer, betting on your own team. And to take it even a step further, should this be true, by the way, this is all allegedly, yeah? Um, Now, I haven't followed him.
Especially the fact that betting on your own team. That's so far it's far from the truth. So far, the allegations are just of betting on illegal platforms.
Okay, now I have been disconnected from the internet for the last 2 days, so I am coming into this with a very brief understanding of it. And somehow, when I see the name of a certain man with the first name Fabrizio and his surname, uh, I'm trying
Corona,
to think of.
Corona,
Well,
Corona,
I
like
wanted to
beer.
find something to think that it rhymes with because just the name sends a chill down my spine because the cringe. Anything involving this guy, there is an expectation of cringe.
Not only, but
The
like an expectation of like coming into contact with the scummy underworld of very specific milieu that many of us don't have access to. This guy has seen it. He's been there. He's
He lives it.
dealt
Come
with
on,
it.
man.
Yeah,
Him
he
and
lives it. He's been there. He's still there. And despite going to jail for a number of years, he's been there and he still has a platform. And here we are talking about some of the things that are certainly true, but it's a problem when this is the man that brings you this kind of news in this day and age.
there is a thing, and it's hard to describe because I think most countries have it. But when we speak of trash Italiano, it's I, I I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of like a UK equivalent. I don't really know any of the they call them rags, yeah, like the tabloids, the
Yeah.
those
The
those
tabloid.
magazines you see by the
Absolutely.
vendors that
Absolutely. Yeah.
they
The
have
tabloid.
hyperbole on the front, and that's the only way they know you're going to purchase it.
Yes, yes. It's the people that got into Hugh Grant's house. They burglarized his house just
Yes,
to take pictures of him in the nude with his mistress. So that's pretty much
yes,
that's pretty much
trash Italiano. It's tabloid. It's tabloids, but the volume increased a bit higher. When I think trash Italiano, I think of Fabrizio Corona. It's just difficult to describe this guy in anything other than it's like a living meme. I don't know how else to describe him, but um, he has somehow inserted himself into this. I won't say the center, but somehow a focal point, and to see publications that I don't respect them, but you, as an outsider, you know, if you weren't too familiar with the media landscape within the country, you would think that certain publications are somewhat respectable. But to see like La Repubblica publishing this guy's name in what is supposed to be a serious story, I can't I can't get there. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with what we are referring to, Andy, because I think I mentioned Nicola Zalewski's name before you and I went on this very weird path of making fun of the Italian media landscape. Nicola Zalewski. Let's take first. I don't want to even talk about initially what Fabrizio Carona is saying because I think he said he has evidence on 150. Is that what he said in total?
not well. Now he's narrowed it down to like 15.
Oh, of course.
He's narrowed it down. And first he had like a whole program of revealing each day a new name for the next 2 weeks. And now he
It's like the holiday countdown I read. I mean,
yes,
that's
it is.
fantastic. One
It
name per
is.
day.
It is. It's like a countdown.
Fantastic.
It's a race between him and the Italian authorities because Italian authorities acted quickly because he revealed the first names. Has been a case known to the Italian Federation for quite some time. Juventus were aware that Nicola Fagioli was involved in that, and Nicola Fagioli had already been cooperating with the Italian authorities, and Fabrizio Corona just got a whiff of it through somebody who knows whether somebody in the federation or somebody working for the authorities or whatever. But he's been out there trying to make a name for himself by by revealing as much as possible. And with Nicola Zalewski, he came out even to and here's the problem: even if there's truth to it, it's the worst thing in the world to have somebody of Fabrizio Corona's stature give
Yes.
out this information, because this is the kind of guy that went out, said Nicola Zalewski is the fourth player that was involved in these illegal betting practices. He was supposedly involved in a WhatsApp chat with other players who were also betting, and and Corona went out of his way to even say that Zaleski's mother came out in the open and said, "Please don't make his name public," and Corona ignored it. Supposedly, for me, that's like, even just by saying that, you basically reveal to the world the kind of person you are, the kind of individual you are.
Yes.
uh Now that Luciano Spalletti, so the Italian national team coach, came out in the defense of the players and said, those that are guilty, they must be punished, but some people who reveal this kind of information just do it for clout. Corona went out of this way and he said that Spalletti said it because he's a gambling addict himself. So, uh,
Did you miss?
there's no way of winning against these types. And the worst thing about it, again, is that in Italy, these guys get rewarded for this. So if
Yes.
there is a problem with if with betting, with gambling, with using illegal online platforms, then you go right ahead and punish the ones that need to be punished. But to me, the fact that we're even here, and the name of this individual who spent years in prison for extorting people
Torch.
for
Yes.
private photos, uh, I can't believe it. And
Did
so,
you see where he they asked him who one of his sources are, and he
yeah,
said
he
an
said,
uncle of a former Inter player and a friend of Balotelli.
yes,
Well,
great.
somebody's uncle, that's like somebody saying to you, "Oh, who's your new partner? Who's your new girlfriend?" And you say, "Ah, she lives in a different country. She goes to a different school.
Yeah,
Just trust me." I mean,
she's really hot. Yeah, she's really hot.
yeah, she's very attractive, but you don't know her. You don't know her. Uh, the whole thing, you would think that in this day and age, somebody like Fabrizio Carona, his word would be worth as much as the refuse bin next to you. But apparently, he's getting quoted. I mean, again, somewhat respectable publications using this guy as a source, as a sort of a confirmation of some of the investigation that they are doing. I mean, to me, is mind-boggling that this guy, forget being given benefit of the doubt, making him at the forefront of the information that you are reporting. To me, it is such an affront to journalism. When I see some of this stuff, I think of like all of those journalists from the 1920s and 30s, with the top hat and the pen and the hat, and going into the dredges of humanity to find the scoop. And then I think to myself, man, to that, and now I'm looking at the photo of, by the way, how how old do you think he was? Because Fabrizio Carona, he has been a name that everybody knows of. I thought he was still in his 30s. I have to be honest. He's almost 50. He's
Yeah,
47.
yeah,
He's kind of one of those guys, and everybody knows who we're talking about, almost 50, but he still goes to, on holiday, he will go to the places where all of
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the,
yeah. Of
the
course, of course.
20-year-olds
Of
inhabit,
course, of course. Yeah, yeah,
just,
yeah. For me, he's a scummy guy. For me, the fact that we have to
yeah.
entertain a conversation about such a serious subject, because it is serious. Like, even regardless whether they were betting on games or not, just the fact that it came out in the open that they were, players were involved in these illegal activities is sad, and the more so when you talk about younger players. somebody like Nicola Fagioli, is somebody who was trying to make a name for himself at Juve. Now he may be looking at getting punished, which could mean, getting a ban, and whether that's 6 months or a year or 2 years, who knows? That doesn't matter. The ban will still hinder his development. Same thing can be said about Sandro Tonali, Nicolo Zaniolo, players who went to the Premier League with hopes to make the name for themselves, and now they have to respond to these allegations. So, nobody wins in this. We, as Roma fans, we can only hope that this thing with Nicola Zalewski is not true. The player has denied all allegations.
Well, let's lay it out very quickly, but before you go on, because what is now La Repubblica? They are reporting that he bet on himself. Is that,
No, 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 no,
no,
no,
hold on,
John.
hold on. That's Fabrizio Carona.
No, no, no. You got trapped, man. Those are fake news. That whole article by La Repubblica doesn't exist. That's an
Okay,
article that was being distributed by other outlets, but it never existed in the first place.
okay. Fabrizio Carona is the one making this allegation. He is the one at the center of this, and he is saying that he has proof, specifically on Zalewski, yeah, and a handful of other players. But he is saying the proof is there. That's the
No,
baseline of
but he didn't say he's got proof of Zalewski betting in Roma games. That's not something he had. He said he has proof for Zaniolo betting on games, but not necessarily involving Roma when
Rome.
he was at
Yes,
Roma. Zalewski, no, that whole report signed by La Repubblica never existed. That article never existed. It's once again, it's the detriment of social media, where news outlets don't even double check whether an article really exists. So all the aggregators, all the news
yes,
outlets, like Libero, like Fatto Quotidiano, go out of their way and
libero.
incorporate that, whoever, hoping that it sticks, and it doesn't. And but that's how it is. That's the reality in which we operate. And so a guy like Fabrizio Corona can put the news out there, and then that news gets mangled and taken away and stripped, and then thrown back out there in a completely different format. With Zalewski, allegations have all been denied by his entourage, his agent. Boniek spoke to his manager. The player said, "I'm clean. I've never bet on my life." He's still with the Poland under 21 national team. So on that side, on that front, we cannot say the same thing as for Sandro Tonali and Nicolò Zaniolo, who are directly
Yes,
confronted by police. And same thing with Fagioli, who's been in direct contact with the authorities for quite some time, and Juve have admitted to this being really the situation. So far, we have no
right.
signs from Roma. So these things can always change. I mean, by the time this podcast is out, maybe there is another development. Who knows?
Roma haven't said anything. I just checked. I sent a message to them yesterday. They still haven't. They aren't saying anything on it.
Yeah, I don't think
Very
that's something.
quickly.
Yeah, I don't think that's something you want to have.
No, 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 no. No, because once you put something out there, um, you will be held to that. So I can understand why they are not saying anything. Very quickly, you just said what Boniek. He said he spoke to Zalewski's agent. Um, what interested me more is if you go deeper into some of the things he said, and this is stuff we already touched on, but he is essentially saying, regurgitating what you and I have already said. He said he's referring to the allegation on Zalewski. This is Boniek. He says it's incredible, an absolute earthquake of an allegation. This is incredible, but it's all wrong. First of all, Fabrizio Carona says it, and this guy isn't a journalist. He's a guy who received a 13-year sentence for many different things. He's a paparazzo. He's blackmailed people. And I'm not saying it's not true because it could develop differently, but he is basically saying, Boniek, hey, look who it's coming from. That in and of itself, we must be taken with a grain of salt. But on top of that, too, I've spoken to Zalewski's representatives, and it seems like he's clean. Listen, we can talk about it all we want. At the end of the day, and this is why most of the time I despise the internet, social media in general, because it's like you have to have a take on this. You weren't there. I wasn't there. I don't know. You don't know for sure. But you know what? I'm not going to give an opinion on it until I have very clear evidence one way or the other. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. But for some reason, it's like we have to have a take on this. Um, because it seems like every 2 to 3 years we have some big scandal coming up with betting
Yeah,
in
and it
Italian
seems like there is
football.
always going to, exactly. There is always seems like there's going to be a wave of change, and then it goes back to being the same. I mean, like it was so ironic to have Gianluigi Buffon work in the national team, and he was the one escorting Sandro Tonali and Nicola Zaniolo to the authorities when Buffon was at the center of such a scandal himself a few years ago. So it's. Italy is Italy, and these things will never change, unfortunately. So even
Ever, no.
if this thing is out in the open now, I hope it's being dealt with, and I hope we can move on to some other actually football related things. But unfortunately, this is a certain reality where these things will keep happening unless there is really some kind of serious reform from top to bottom, which is not going to be the case. So
Well, no,
hopefully not.
well, the transfer market then. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yes,
How
yes.
exciting. Yeah. Now, people took exception with how this was being pronounced by you, or was it by, I forget by whom? Er- Eric Dyer.
Dire.
Yeah. Somebody took exception with the way I think you pronounced it, which I was under the impression that was the correct pronunciation. I
Who cares?
I am
Who
a boomer when it comes to the transfer market. I am
cares?
well on record that if you talk to me of the transfer market of January, within 2 to 3 months of the summer market having been closed, I just can't take it serious. I have regurgitated this point, and I just have to say it one more time. But the transfer market, in my opinion, has become as important, if not more important, than the actual matches, which is, to me, I know this is probably more of a generational thing, and I sound so old when I say this, but I just, the shows, the rumors, all of this stuff, just 24/7, it has become big business. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I want everybody involved with it, from the agents who launder this stuff. I've showed you numerous times. I've told people in our Patreon group chat, I will have agents contact me. It is very common for them to just contact journalists or people with big outlets, and they want something out there for a reason. And I'm like, man, it's mid-September. I'm not printing that. Give me a break. I can't do it. But here we are. We're talking about it. So I guess I am part of the problem. You and I are both a part of the problem. I mean, I can't give a strong opinion on this. I can't do it. I
Who
physically
can?
cannot bring myself to even.
Honestly, who can in October?
Right. Okay. A good player. Yeah, I'd like to see him at Roma. I mean, what do you want me to give insight on that?
Oh
I
man!
mean,
Wait,
should we
John,
call his agent? Should we call his
didn't you
agent while
study
we're doing the
marketing?
podcast? I mean, come on.
Didn't you study marketing? Didn't you? Aren't you a professional
Oh, yeah.
man in the
What are
field
we
of
supposed to say to this? A transfer market rumor. And you just said it. It's mid October. Okay, I just I can't do it. Again, this has become a thing where the market is,
I didn't want you to have a nervous breakdown as a
no,
recording.
it's just
You asked me what are we going to
I
talk about.
hate.
I just suggested it. I don't know.
No, I know, but for I'm not going to talk
I
about
don't want your
Nicola
kids to walk
Zalewski
into
betting
that
for
man
half of
cave.
an hour. I can't do it. But I
I don't
also
want
like
your
the
kids
market.
to walk into that man cave tomorrow morning and find your dead corpse
This
there with
bomb shelter that I'm in. Yeah, well, yeah, everybody's going to see my corpse here.
your corpse with the last words Eric Dyer written on the computer screen. I don't want that. I don't want to explain that to
I
your kid.
just listen.
Your dad popped a vein because Eric Dyer got linked to Roma. I don't.
Yeah. They say, yeah, well, they're going to see your face on the screen. Say, hey, somebody help. I just, I don't care. To be honest with you right now, Roma in January. It's mid-October. You don't know what can happen between now and then. Your needs now will not be the needs of Roma in 2.5 months when the window opens. So speaking of it now to me is pointless. It's pointless because your needs change by the day, by the week of every team. So uh, okay, I'd like to see him at Roma. Okay, next. I mean, next. What are we supposed to say? I can't get there on it. Um, let's talk about the Monza before we go. I can't do any more on transfer market stuff. So Roma, when they return, international break is going to end after this week, and they pick up right where they left off in terms of having a packed schedule. Monza, Slavia Praha, Inter. Monza is one of those teams that I don't really know what to expect from them because isn't that the match where I think they won last season? It was like 3-0, and I believe that was the first goal of Paulo Dybala with Roma, Monza, yeah?
Correct.
And that was a match that they should have won 8 or 9-0 because I remember it so vividly.
That was
They
that
only
was
won
Monza were awful at the beginning of the season. They had
terrible.
Strop. I believe that was his last match in charge of Monza, and afterwards it was
Yes.
Palladino. But that was and it was again that was the first time we had scored so many goals to open up the season.
Yes, I mean, I remember that one so incredibly vividly, just because even though Roma had won 3-0, I mean, they ran away with the game, and it should have been 2 to 3 times more of a difference in terms of goals. I don't know what to expect from them, only because this Monza up and down, a good performance, ugly performance. Entering the break, they were in good form though. So defeated Sassuolo, draw against Bologna, Lazio, Lecce. But before that, they had suffered defeats in 2 of their previous 3 to Atalanta and Inter. So again, you're getting a team that started off slow, entered the break in fairly good form. Are we supposed to pretend Papu Gomez is like a? Now me saying that, of course, we all know what that is going to.
Are you really
But
gonna doubt somebody that played under the Bangsbo potion and went to the Europa League final with Sevilla and won against us a few months ago?
he didn't play in that match, did he?
No,
I
I
don't
don't think
think he
so.
did.
No, I don't think so.
Um,
It would have been one of the greatest embarrassments in my whole life to not only see
well,
Papa Gomez lift the trophy, but to actually have some impact in a match that matters. Horrendous.
well, there is a player on Monza that, when it comes to just random events that have occurred in the many years I've been doing this, Jose Machin, he's right up there with Carbonara.
Wait, is it Machine or
What was
Machine?
it? I thought it was Machin. You got to
Okay,
put the whatever it is. He didn't play
okay.
for. I think he made. Oh, no, he didn't. I think he just played for the Primavera.
Yeah, yeah, he went for Primavera. I
One
think
of those guys that
got him.
just you saw his name I mean, you seem to be the king of this. The guys that were part of the Primavera that you see their name printed a lot.
2014, 2015, something like that.
As a quick aside, who's our because I can't think of the name now. The one that you always make fun of his hairline. The
Riccardi.
yeah,
Riccardi. But he's later. He's a generation later, but he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT of
what
all
what
useless Primavera players.
what league is he playing in now? If he is
He's
even still playing.
yeah, he's with the Latina. He's in the Serie C, I
Oh,
believe.
that's fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Because
Okay. Well,
he didn't want to move out of Rome, so he stayed in Rome so he can go and train with Latina and play for Latina.
well, I mean,
Remember,
when that
that was
offer
the same guy that the fans didn't want to sell to Juve when we were in talks to sign Spinazzola, I believe.
yeah, fantastic. But anyway,
So
Monza.
this Monza game, I
Yeah, it's about
sorry,
this Monza game.
I see you. Yeah,
Listen, this is. I mean, we can't pretend here and try and paint this like oh, the Roma shouldn't defeat them. I can't get there. Um, like I said though in the previous episode, you are going to have so you start out packed schedule, but then you have that big match in the league coming against Inter, and for all of these direct clashes now, because you really, really messed up in the early go, you have to win some of these. There's no choice. You have to, whether it be Inter, Juve, the Derby, you have to win some of these. There's no choice. We should expect Roma to win some of these. What are you expecting though, as far as with these international breaks? I hate when they come. Obviously, when you start to gain momentum, it sucks. It curbs it. But if you're in a very bad period, obviously they can be an opportune break. For me, getting that momentum back to which you ended with is always the most difficult part. I think we should all expect Roma to win their first two and then enter the match against Inter in good form. I don't know what to expect from that match. What do what are you expecting when they pick back off? Because we've seen like two. How many matches have we played? 10 so far this season? 9,
9.
10, 9. We've already seen a very high ceiling and a very low floor from Roma. So you could tell me they're going to come out either up here, down here, in the middle. I would believe it either way. What are you expecting? Because I expect them to come out firing, and that is really only because we had. I'm trying to think of all the internationals. Indica, he played a full 90 minutes the other day. Lukaku did as well. You had Cristante did not play. If I'm right, he did not play.
No,
He did not play. He did not play. I was
no,
just
he
had
did
I
not.
had to
Jill,
confirm
are
that.
you okay? I mean,
No, 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 no. I had to make sure. I was second guessing myself. Um, the guys that have been sort of the ones that they have relied upon in these days uh, before the break, they're continuing to play. They're continuing to, I mean, perform
yeah,
relatively well, I
Mancini,
would
Mancini
say.
played for Italy. Lukaku for Belgium scored. Houssem
By the
Aouar
way, how about
scored
El
for.
Shaarawy going back?
El
I mean,
Shaarawy
the
went
oh,
back. Yeah, after 2 years, he went back. We got
oof,
Sardar Azmoun scoring for Iran. Uh,
yes.
it's exciting.
The man who we admittedly, I forgot he was even still remaining on the team. So to see, forget playing. The fact he can still find the back of the net is obviously impressive. I know it's impossible to judge his team or know what to expect. I expect him to come out firing, and that is even knowing full well you are going to be without Paulo Dybala. I don't care. You and I said it in the previous one. They have enough depth to more than manage without him. So just because they don't have them, there should be no drop in expectation, particularly for these first two matches. Now, the match against Inter, obviously, you have the particular storyline going into it involving Lukaku, which is very weird to me because you have this almost this nobody is coming out to say exactly what happened. Have you noticed that? Everybody is talking about Lukaku in this past summer, what happened, and it's all a bit of innuendo mixed with assumption, I suppose. I can't really think of a better word, but nobody's come out and told the whole story. So now we're hearing about Interisti. They're going to protest. They're going to whistle the guys. Blah 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 blah. You have the other day our googly-eyed friend come out and say, "Well, I don't know what Lukaku was saying when he talked about this past summer and being unhappy with how things unfolded." Again, you weren't there. I wasn't there. I'm just sick of these. Somebody just open up the curtain and tell us what happened, because this thing where everybody is doing this this way of chit chat, like this, they're afraid to say it. Just come out and say what happened. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, is that Roma? It's weird to me that you're going to have that sort of storyline coming into it, because it's going to be difficult for Lukaku. but you would imagine a guy like that would be so incredibly
Oh, pumped. Oh,
fired
absolutely.
up and
Oh
pumped up
man.
that
Oh,
he,
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, he might, I mean,
Especially with the way the seasons has started for him, with the way he's
yes,
scoring, with the way
exactly.
he absolutely entered the Roma life so easily, and just, I mean, he's feeling it. There is no way that I would expect him to consider this, some kind of intimidating thing. I think this is
Right.
going to be a very sort of the moment that he's been waiting for since that Champions League final, which he considers unfair that he started on the bench. So this
Right.
is it. I mean, and given how he started, the way he's performing with so much confidence, I think it's not going to be an issue. Whether it's going to be an issue with regards to others, who knows? But Lukaku is somebody I think who thrives on this occasion, and this occasion in particular. So do Roma come out swinging? I mean, I think they have to carry over. There is no other way. Lukaku, he must keep scoring. Belotti must keep being effective in Dybala's place, because Paulo Dybala is going to be out. Houssem Aouar, what a perfect time to get his minutes for
Yes.
Roma with Pellegrini out. So all in all, I mean, it's doable. It has to be done. So what are we waiting for? It's the perfect moment, actually, in my opinion. Like the perfect 2 game stretch ahead of Inter, and then you got the derby. So I'm never so open about these things. I don't do predictions, but do I like Roma's chances given how they went into this international break and what lies ahead of them? Sure, I am.
So am I. I just think, obviously, it is not the right thing to do by looking ahead to that Inter match. But you would expect, if there was any player wanting to come out, I mean, I just, in my head, I picture Roma winning. I picture Lukaku sending Bastoni into, picking him up by the neck, and just doing what the Randy Orton RKO, like just through the ground of the pitch, and just sending the guy into oblivion. I mean, if there was ever a guy you would expect to come out and just be ready to take on that sort of pressure, and be ready to not only score a goal, but then just stick two middle fingers up to the supporters who are giving to the Inter supporters giving him stick, it would be Lukaku. Um, I agree with you as far as to, you need everybody. Some of the guys that now, with whether it be, as you said, Awar, with Pellegrini having been out, now he gets his opportunity. Belotti, with obviously with no Paulo Dybala. These are the guys that we should expect things from. When we talk about the depth, when we talk about the Roma being a much deeper team now than they were in previous seasons, this is where they have to show guys like this. And I think thus far, I mean, I'm trying to think of, beyond Asmun, is there anybody who arrived that so far they haven't really either impressed, or they've been very just uh, trying to think of a nicer word other than poor. But
Well, Renato Sanchez,
yeah,
as
well,
Moon and Renato Sanchez have been basically, cut off from the rest of the team for different reasons. As Moon
well,
is, it doesn't seem to be ready, and Renato Sanchez is injury prone. So, but it doesn't, it doesn't matter. Like now, it's now or never. Like these are situations where it doesn't matter if you're on the margins of the team or you're in it. It's like it's a moment where everybody comes together, because with Roma, you never know. You might go from one day not having Paulo Dybala to another day not having Houssem Aouar, and so everybody needs to be sharp and ready, because Roma cannot afford to be relying on the same guys over and over again. They don't have the
correct,
luxury of thinking, oh well, everything's going to be fine like Juventus because they're playing once a week. No, you're playing twice a week. You're playing every 3 days. You're traveling. You're playing against hard opponents. You're playing in difficult circumstances. So with Roma, it has to be always, the mentality has to be, win at all costs, and contribute to whatever extent, to whatever is needed, do whatever is needed at the moment, because there is no, there is no pre-established hierarchy, with the exception of Mancini and Cristante. Everybody else
Correct.
is out there. I assume Lukaku has earned his place, but otherwise everybody's touchable. Everybody can be replaced in this team. So that has to be the mentality. There has to be that awareness of players that, yes, if you don't contribute, Sardar Azmoun, who got 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, is going to come in and take your spot. If you're not sharp enough, Belotti is going to come in and play your minutes. So, that is something that has to be applied to the whole season. So I don't see why
Yes.
that is not, that has to be the motto, the mentality of this team when they come back from the international break, because as otherwise you'll get overwhelmed and the opponents will not wait for you anymore. Like you've done your trial period, you've been through it. You've lost the games. You've been humiliated here and there. You've drew sometimes. You had poor results. You are inconsistent defensively. Now, okay, that's in the past. Now it's time for consistency. It's time for determination. It's time for quality.
Perfect way to end it. I don't want to add anything more. Let's end it there. Until next time, ciao.
Ciao.